Hello everyone, my name is Suhail Ahtesham. I am Assistant Professor in Management Studies. Welcome to my 15th lecture on the subject Management Process and Organizational Behavior. In today's lecture, we will be discussing on the topic Behavioral Science Approach. We will be discussing an introduction and the features and advantages of Behavioral Science Approach, which are given by Alton Mayo and his team. Let's start with the topic in detail. Behavioral Science Approach, an introduction. Behavioral science approach is related to scientifically study of human behavior in various disciplines. Right. So basically it is a scientifically study of human behavior in a formal organization by various disciplines. Various disciplines are psychology, sociology, and anthropology. Psychology is related to studying of the human mind, whereas sociology is concerned with human behavior in the society. And anthropology is related to the culture and environment in which the individual survive in the day-to-day activities. Right. So here behavioral science approach is concerned with the human behavior, the behavior of the individual or the behavior of the employee by various disciplines. Right. For understanding the human behavior at workplace. Right. Why it is a need of understanding the human behavior at workplace? Because by notifying his behavior, we must able to know that what are their needs and wants and what are the expectations of our employees and workers in an organization, so that we can fulfill their needs, we can fulfill their expectations, and they may get happy in the environment in which they are working in, and it may help the organization for more and more productivity in the organization. So basically it is a scientific study. Behavioral science approach is a scientific study on human behavior by various disciplines like psychology, sociology, and anthropology. Right. And these theories and models are applied in scientific form for molding human behavior in a desired manner. Right. It is basically studied for knowing the exact mental and physical status of the individual in the organization and molding his behavior in right path, so that it may be helpful for the individual as well as it may be helpful for the organizational development in a competitive market. It emphasizes on study of motivation, leadership, communication, group dynamic, participatory management, and so on. So, behavioral science approach is related to motivation of the employee, motivating the employees in day-to-day activities. Right leadership, right, what to do in the organization should be properly justified. Communication in all aspects should be properly communicated. I mean, there must be proper conversation between the supervisor and the subordinate in the organization about the do's and don'ts and about the working of the activities in the organization, so that the employees, the subordinate, can work on the right basis, and the supervisor also must be aware about the mental state of mind, and what are the needs and wants of the subordinate in the formal organization, so that these needs can be fulfilled by various ways. Right. So it is related to communication, motivation, leadership, group dynamic, group effort, right, or participative management. All are participating for a common objective. Right. There is a need and there is a involvement of each and every employee in making of certain plans and molding of certain things, molding of certain plans, and giving suggestions, giving feedback. Right. So these all things are basically it is a group effort of creating an output in the organization. Behavioral science approach is sociotechnical system, which is also said to be STS, socio-technical system, which is related to recognizing and connecting together the technology and the people working at workplace. Right. So basically, it is connecting together the technology and the people at workplace. Right. That's why it is known as socio-technical system. Right. What behavioral science approach is also known to as socio-technical system in a formal organization, because it connect and it collaborate together the manpower and the technology in the right form. Attempt should be made to achieve positive result between organizational goals and personal interest of the employees working in it. Right. So the need and for the need of this behavioral science approach is to be done. I mean, the needs of this behavioral science approach is to fulfilling the needs of the individual employees in an organization, and also fulfilling the organizational goals and objectives, and fulfilling the requirement of both the parties in the organization, in the environment, so that both the parties will satisfied with each other and make a sound relationship and make an effective approach towards the fulfillment of organizational goals and wants in the formal organization. Right. It suggests how the knowledge of human behavior can be used in making manpower more effective in formal organization. Right. So the study of mind, the study of the society in which the individual is, and the study of the culture, the behavior of the individual. Right. So this behavioral science approach helps the manager for knowing, for acknowledging the behavior, human behavior of the employees, of the workers who are working in the formal organization, and make the improvement. It helps the organization, it helps the manager for making, for improving, for motivating and for encouraging the manpower at workplace for more effective output in the organization. So it may be helpful for both the employees and the employer as well. Right. So it is very important aspect of the day-to-day activities in the organization. Behavioral science approach involves workers in decision making process, which makes them more committed to the organization and the act as self motivated device. Right. So involvement of workers in decision making. Right. Here we have discussed about communication, the right form of communication. Communication is a two-way process, right? So there must be communication, there must be proper feedback of the working in day-to-day activities by the employees in the organization on daily basis, right? There must be the feedback, there must be the expectation. I mean, the employees were also make themselves innovative and create some certain ideas for doing the particular task in different ways, and may suggest their advices to the supervisor, so that, and it is the responsibility, it is the duty of the supervisor as well to consider the viewpoint and to consider the suggestions and the various ways of working which are given by the subordinate to him, so that these effective advices can be used in as an innovative manner for working in the day-to-day activities and working in the organization in the right and accurate manner, and for more and more productivity in the organization. Right. So basically the decision making process helps an individual and helps the worker, the employees in the formal organization, to get more involved in the working for the organization, and it will boost the knowledge, it will encourage the employees in working certain organization, because their viewpoint, their techniques and their mindset has been considered by the supervisor, and their needs, they may justify their needs in the organization because their viewpoint has been considered by the supervisor in the formal organization. So this is all about the introduction of behavioral science approach, in which the manager, the organization is dealing with the disciplines like the study of psychology, sociology, and anthropology in the formal organization in respect to the employees working in it. Right. And we have also discussed behavioral science approach the workers as a socio-technical system. Right. Sociotechnical system is related to combining together the people and technology at workplace, right? So we have discussed all this in detail, the brief introduction. Coming forward, behavioral science approach, features and advantages. Coming to the first, behavioral science approach studies cause and effect relationship through human behavior in terms of motivation, leadership, communication, group dynamic, and participative management. Right. So basically, behavioral science approach is related to cause and effect relationship. If I give you an example of cause and effect relationship, suppose if there will be more productivity by a particular employee in an organization, then it is the responsibility of the organization and manager to provide that particular employee some bonus, some incentive, right? That will be the appraisal, that will be the recognition of the work which he has performed for the organization as the extra effort he has put on the certain work for more productivity in the organization, right? So it is the one of the example of cause and effect relationship, right? Cause is the person has worked more in the organization, and effect is he is getting the incentive. That is cause and effect relationship, right? So basically, human science approach studies the cause and effect relationship, that how to improve the efficiency of the manpower at workplace, and it is also related to how the employees in an organization can get motivated, and what are the various techniques of leadership, so that the employees and employer both get satisfied and both will be happy in the formal organization, and what will be the mode of communication in the organization, and so that all the working and all the happening in the organization should be notified at each level, right? And there should be a group dynamic. It means the right quality of work, and there must be a group effort, and there must be no individualism in the formal organization. All the people, maybe at subordinate, maybe at supervisory level, all have to work on a common objective, common goals in a formal organization, and there must be participative management. It means all must work together, all must participate, and the workers' participation in decision making, workers' participation in making plans and day-to-day functioning in the organization. So all these things has to be managed, and all these things are related to behavioral science approach, right? So this is one of the advantage and feature. The second one, the behavioral science approach have provided managers with a systematic understanding of one of the most crucial factors in the process of management, right? So one of the most critical factor in the process of management is the human factor. Human factor is related to the manpower, right? If we talk about the M's of management, the 5 basic M's of management, which are also known as factors of production: the manpower, machinery, method, money, and material, right? The manpower is the basic concept, which is the necessity, and which is the most important concept of the factor of production, because with the help of manpower we can make use of all other resources in the formal organization, right? So it is very critical factor, and it is very important factor as well, that human factor, human effort, right? So this behavioral science approach is related to making effective use is this human factor in a formal organization, so that they can increase the productivity in the organization, right? This is the important of behavioral science approach in a formal organization. Coming toward the next, motivation. Motivation has a major effect on human behavior at workplace, right? If I give you an example, motivation is related to the monetary and non-monetary incentive, right? Non-monetary in terms of suppose the person is liable for getting a promotion, then he must get a promotion, right? On the basis of the experience, on the basis of the working performance of the individual in the organization since years, right? That will be the non-monetary factor, right? And monetary is related to providing incentives, bonus, and other allowances to the employees, which is generating the income of the worker in the organization, right? So there must be motivation towards the employees in monetary as well as non-monetary factor, so that the productivity can be improved and the human behavior at workplace may be more effective and more improvable measures, so that there may be satisfaction level of the supply of the employer as well as the employee who is working for the organization, right? Coming towards the next, democratic leadership. Democratic leadership is basically related to involving friendly supervisor. I mean, all the employees, the subordinate must also have a democratic factor. The subordinate may also have the free factor of communication with their supervisor about their do's and don'ts, and about the various techniques and strategy that can be adopted by for the particular task which has been assigned to them, right? So there must be democracy of speaking, of communicating in the formal organization between the supervisor and the subordinate, right? So democratic leadership involves friendly supervision, is extremely helpful for molding workers' attitude towards work in favorable manner, right? So if there will be democratic leadership, if there will be the employees and employer are very friendly and very open to each other about the working in the formal organization, then it will be more effective for getting the output in a favorable manner, right? So it should create a positive impact in behavioral science approach, and it will create a positive impact in more and more productivity in the formal organization in the competitive market, right? Next, two-way communication, right? Communication is a two-way process, right, between the parties, the sender and the receiver. The two-way communication in the organization makes for better understanding and goods human relation, conducive to increase human efficiency at workplace, right? So there must be two-way communication, right? It means if the suppose if the subordinate is getting any problem, any conflict or anything related to the working in the organization, right, then there must be certain feedback or certain guidance from the supervisor to him, right? There must be two-way communication. There must be solving of the conflict in the formal organization, right? There must be smooth functioning in the formal organization. There must be two-way communication process that should be easily and that should be effectively implemented by every level, by every managers, by the managers and the subordinates in the formal organization, right? So it plays a major role, it plays an important role in behavioral science approach. Therefore, behavioral science approach is interdisciplinary in nature. Interdisciplinary is also known as multidisciplinary in nature, which is implemented and which is a very important aspect which has been applied by every manager at every level of the organization, right? So basically behavioral science approach is an interdisciplinary in nature, and it is integrated knowledge which draws the different disciplines like psychology, sociology, anthropology, economics, social science, and history. So these are the various disciplines through which we extract the information that what is going on in the minds of the individual, the minds of the workers who are devoting themselves in our formal organization for productivity, so that we can fulfill the needs and wants of our employees in the organization, and we can increase the productivity, because when they will be mentally free, the employees will be mentally satisfied, then they will serve more for the organization, then they will serve more happily for the organization, and that may achieve the organizational goals in the right way, in an effective way, right? So it is basically the satisfaction of the employer and the employee, both the parties, right? So for effective study, the behavioral science approach is interdisciplinary in nature, which is related to various disciplines, studying of various disciplines of psychology, sociology, anthropology, economics, social science, and history, right? For effective human behavior in a formal organization. Right. So this is all about the behavioral science approach and the importance of behavioral science approach and the implementation of behavioral science approach in a formal organization. Right. Here you can see a diagram which shows a behavioral science, one of the factor of behavioral science approach in management. Here you can see a manager. This person may be a manager who is guiding his subordinates at every level, and there is some informal and friendly type of behavior between the manager and the subordinate, right? Where the manager may be the guy, he is guiding the subordinate for performing certain work in the organization in right manner, and also trying to find out his psychological factor, what is going on in his mind, and what are the various, for knowing the behavior of the workers in the organization, there are certain aspects that we have already discussed. So this is one of the, displaying of image of the behavioral science approach in the formal organization, right? So this is all about the concept of behavioral science approach in the formal organization. Hope you have understood this lecture. For more related videos, do like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching my lecture. Have a nice day.